During the event, we always take a few minutes at the end of each day to honor some outstanding individuals who have made significant impact in healthcare, bringing hope and healing to people suffering around the world. Each of our award recipients is known for their relentless drive to make the world a better place. Tonight, we're honored to have with us His Excellency Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia, the President of the Academy of Life, who's been extremely supportive to our initiatives over these past 8 years, and we're grateful to have him with Cardinal Ravasi. Tonight, we will honor an individual who we're going to have the privilege of hearing speak tomorrow with exceptional persistence, commitment, and excellence from his contributions he's made in medicine. He's a man of strong faith, and he teaches us that fully embracing science doesn't mean you have to turn your back on faith, but in fact, one can enrich and form the other. I'm going to show you a video, a little bit about his life, and while we're doing that, maybe I could ask the Cardinal, His Excellency, and Dr. Collins to come to the stage.
Well, it's clear why Dr. Francis Collins has earned awards, honors, and applause, as well as the praise of presidents and colleagues. What many people don't know is that his long road to accomplishment began near the twists and turns of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Born and raised in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, Francis Collins was homeschooled until the 6th grade. His education included learning to play the music of the hills with family and friends. In the picturesque historic town of Stanton, Virginia, where he attended public high school, he developed an interest in chemistry, a passion he pursued at the University of Virginia on the campus founded and designed by Thomas Jefferson. He then headed north to Yale University, where he earned his PhD in physical chemistry, but a course in biochemistry led him to alter his career path. He came home to the South, this time to attend medical school at the University of North Carolina. As he explained recently, he was beginning to envision a future most medical students could not yet see.
In 1977, I knew I wanted to go into internal medicine. I knew I was interested in genetics, and I knew I wanted to somehow put those things together, and most of my classmates thought that didn't make a lot of sense. How are you going to put genetics and internal medicine together? They didn't see a whole lot of that going on. Well, okay, look around you. It happened, people.
After residency, the young Dr. Collins returned to Yale for a fellowship in human genetics. Then in 1984, he joined the faculty at the University of Michigan. The field was on the cusp of historic breakthroughs, and over the ensuing decades, Francis Collins would demonstrate the vision to be in the midst of most of them. His gene hunting approach, which he named positional cloning, helped open the door to modern molecular genetics. He became director of the National Human Genome Research Institute in 1993.
Science is a voyage of exploration into the unknown. We are here today to celebrate a milestone.
By 2000, he joined President Bill Clinton and biologist Craig Venter in announcing the working draft of the human genome. Collins said it was awe-inspiring to realize that we have caught the first glimpse of our own instruction book, previously known only to God. In 2009, President Barack Obama nominated Dr. Collins to be director of the National Institutes of Health. The Senate confirmed him unanimously. In 2017, President Donald Trump asked him to continue his service. Among numerous awards and honors, Dr. Collins is an elected member of the National Academy of Medicine and the National Academy of Sciences. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George W. Bush in 2007 and the National Medal of Science by President Obama in 2009. Throughout his career, Francis Collins has combined scientific brilliance with deep compassion and wide-ranging intellectual curiosity, most recently spearheading the Brain Research Initiative and the NIH Precision Medicine Project dubbed All of Us to compile the world's largest genetic library. While leading these developments and helping to establish genomic science in Africa, he also found time to explore his personal relationship with religion. In 2006, he published The Language of God. A Scientist Presents Evidence for Belief, the first of several books on this sensitive topic. And music is still a big part of his life. He's a big believer in the extraordinary healing powers of music, and always happy to take the stage for a good cause, with opera diva Renee Fleming, with Aerosmith's Joe Perry, or with his band of scientists called ARA, the Affordable Rock and Roll Act. Dr. Collins' ability to make science accessible and his sense of humor makes him a welcome guest on radio and television programs. He's equally comfortable as an interviewer, probing the future with public health activists such as Bill Gates at the American Society of Human Genetics.
What's the path that we ought to try to get on so that if we were having this discussion in 2037, it would look different?
As leader of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Collins continues to put his knowledge, experience, and wisdom toward the service of humankind, responding to crises such as Ebola in Africa and the opioid epidemic in the United States, considering how personalized medicine might transform healthcare in the future, and lifting up a new generation of scientists, adapting a tune by Bob Dylan at the University of Michigan's commencement.
For curing disease is our greatest frontier. If the future we hope to be saving, and what better group than all you gathered here for the times they are
Dear professors, esteemed Dr. Collins, a good song, but you without guitar is difficult for us. I thank Cardinal Ravasi for his kind invitation to take part in this international conference, and to all of you, I offer my personal greetings and that of the Pontifical Academy for Life. The theme of the Congress is one of the most sensitive borderlands that we are called on to explore. In our present circumstances, we must discern very carefully the signs of the times. On one hand, we must be able to recognize the positive aspects of a new culture of freedom and of the dignity of the individual, developed throughout history as the fruit of seeds planted by Christianity. But on the other hand, we must clearly recognize the contradictions presented by excessive individualism and by the neglect of moral questions that together threaten the humanness of freedom and the personal dignity. If the ethical imperative becomes an increase of one's own power and the satisfaction of one's own desires and aspirations, people can no longer appreciate the value and the beauty of stable relationships, of care and assistance for others, of welcome for others, and of solidarity. I believe this is an anthropological taproot that can support our reading and analysis of and our challenges to the serious issues that influence present-day cultural reflection and scientific research. In particular, new technologies, by reasons of their sophistication, their complexity, and their tremendous effectiveness, are today the measure by which ethical challenges are judged. The search for operational perfection, defined in relation to technically efficient performance, is attempted to be extended to human life as a whole. With the knowledge we have available to us today, human beings, but in reality all biological life, can be analyzed, broken down, and manipulated in the smallest detail. Being able to manipulate sensorimotor, neurocognitive, and genetic evolutionary structures opens up a new and unforeseeable horizon which we must know how to navigate intellectually in the most appropriate way in order to be able to offer ethical, humanistic responses equal to the enormous potentialities, both positive and negative, that today affect civil society and more generally all of human coexistence. If we want to respond to what we have for too long called a challenge, we must not think of a destructive battle, but rather of a rebuilding of humanity. In this task, our first thought can be about identifying enemies. We must rather seek companions with whom to share the journey. We must again see our jobs as a service to the whole human race. For the Catholic Church, putting ourselves at the service of the unity and the dignity of the whole human family is an essential part of our mission. It's the task both complex and indispensable. We must understand fully its issues, its themes, and the objections that our society raises. And we must likewise free our dialogues from reductionist frameworks. We must challenge cliché and get passionate about human truth. Our vision must embrace both immanence and transcendence, awareness and mystery, perfection and imperfection, power and weakness, limitation and longing for the initiative, for the infinite efficiency and mercy. The Pontifical Academy for Life intends to help meet this challenge by making available all the cultural energy that it has acquired from the presence of scholars and experts in different fields, from theology to philosophy, from social sciences to medicine, and coming from all over the world to help heal those deep anthropological wounds that are both cause and effect of the new forms of insensitivity and violence toward human life, which is increasingly exposed to the power of technology and the rule of economics. It is clear that we must struggle against what weakness or worse eliminates life and destroys its dignity. But it is even more clear today that we must establish an effective accompaniment of human life in all its stages, learning the art of encounter, the art of healing relationships, of building open communities, of furnishing the tools that can refashion lifestyles and the wave of society. And I have a dream too, Professor Mantovani. The dream to gather around an ideal human family, all human family, where politicians, philosophers, scholars, economic people, theologians, all together we have to deal with to build a new humanity. It is important to gather all different fields on different perspectives in order to realize a new dream. In these horizons, the Dr. Collins is a perfect position in this horizon. Not only for the song, this is true, but above all of the other pictures. I am today, Dr. Collins, particularly pleased to confer together with His Eminence Cardinal Ravasi and Dr. Robin Smith the 2018 Pontifical Key Advocacy Award on Dr. Francis Collins, Director of the National Institute for Health in the United States, and a member of Pontifical Academy for Science, for his commitment and the excellence of his significant contributions in the field of medicine. Dr. Collins is known for his fundamental breakthroughs in the field of genetics and for his leadership of the International Human Genome Project. He earlier worked as director of the National Human Genome Research Institute at the National Institute of Health, was a researcher of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute at the University of Michigan, and has played a key role in biomedical research in the United States and around the world, where he has opened new avenues for understanding in many developing nations through the Human Heredity and Health Initiative in Africa that promotes the ability to perform research in the genomic sciences in that continent. Dr. Collins has been a constant and forward-thinking leader in both the academic and the public service sector. He is a deep thinker, often considering the fundamental questions of life and examining connections between his scientific work and faith. For all this and for all he will still be able to do for the good of every man and woman on earth, we thank him and with great joy honor him today with this award. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Again.
My goodness, Your Eminences, this is indeed a memorable occasion for me to have the opportunity to be seated between the two of you and being talked about in such glowing ways, which I can only accept because I think I'm standing in for thousands of others who've had the privilege of working with in the reading of the human genome and many of the projects that have come after that and the exciting science that we're celebrating here at this meeting, and buoyed up by staff members that have supported me over many of these years, and especially by my wife, Diane Baker, who's sitting back there. It is a remarkable moment in biomedical research. I will say more about that tomorrow, and so I'll speak very briefly now because I know it's been a very long day for all of you. But when you consider the pace of advances that we now are able to talk about at this meeting and many others in other places, whether it's in the basic science that's teaching us fundamentals about something as remarkable as the human brain and how it actually functions to carry out these amazing abilities which we take for granted but which are wildly beyond our understanding but are on track to become understood. Whether it's understanding, as was talked about earlier, the microbiome, all of those organisms that live in us and are in most cases working quite nicely with us to maintain health, but then things can go awry. Whether it's what we're learning in terms of the ability to shape the immune system, both to figure out how to treat autoimmune disease, as we've heard about, or to cure cancers that previously we thought were out of reach. Individuals with metastatic cancer who are now not just getting a response, but are being cured by this kind of remarkable advance, which I would never have dreamed possible a decade ago at the scale that we see it now. Advances in diabetes, technologies like the artificial pancreas we heard about today. Advances, although hard fought, in Alzheimer's disease, where we have the hopes that we're on the right path to take this condition, which causes such terrible tragedy amongst individuals and their families and horrendous economic cost, and desperately needs approaches to prevention and cure. We are on that path as well. All of that I've had the privilege of being able to oversee in the space of the 9 years that I've served as the director of the National Institutes of Health. But that is very much an international effort, so delighted to be here in this place with so many people from other parts of the world. But I'm especially delighted to be here because this is a sacred place. I was an atheist until I was 27, and then following a long struggle that was much aided by the writings of one C.S. Lewis, I, to my great surprise, became a believer. And I found that to be enormously satisfying. The opportunity to ask questions that can be answered sometimes not by science, but by faith, like why are we all here, allows yourself to be expanded beyond the purely mechanical and the purely natural into some of those fundamental and internal spaces. And this is a place where we can talk about all of that, and I'm grateful for that. When I look at the writings of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I see how much of the time that Jesus spent on this earth, what we know about it anyway, how much of that time was spent in healing, I think we were supposed to notice that. And I think, therefore, that all of us who have devoted ourselves in various ways to that effort are very seriously doing God's work. And I hope you feel that as well, gathering here to talk about ways that we can bring hope to those who have not had it before, and to see that begin to emerge in the life of a child who was perhaps doomed with some fatal condition and is now walking around. That has to give us hope that we are, in fact, being given the privilege through God's good grace to be able to be involved in something with that kind of remarkable impact. So, again, the opportunity to be here to receive this kind of special recognition, for which I want to give great thanks to Robin Smith and the Cura Foundation for all the remarkable work that she and her team have done. Thanks to the Pontifical Council for Culture, the Pontifical Academy for Life, and to all of you for this great honor of being able to be here this evening in front of you, receiving this kind of recognition on behalf of so many others who I consider my colleagues, friends, co-visionaries, and people who hope for a better time. I think we're getting there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Collins.